Just give me a minute. Is the portal still displaying? So, for example, the unit you're seeking to be exempted from is understanding organizational environment. When you go to your transcripts, the units listed here are the units you're going to look for. Organizational environment, if you've done strategic management or introduction to business, that means that is the equivalent of understanding organizational environment. Once you've selected that unit, you then have to ensure that you scored either an A, B, or C in that particular unit. Select the grade you scored, and then do that. Repeat the same for each and every unit that you are seeking to be exempted. Once you're done, click on down here, and then over here, you will have to attach documents that have been certified by the university. Especially for international students, we have universities that you can certify with the university, but we have universities that will need you to have a letter from either KenQA or the Commission of University Education. So if you're an international student, please seek advice with us so that we are able to guide you on the way forward. Once you've gotten to this point, we have the Add Institution. You come here and select the institution you studied. That is Jomo Kenyatta, for example. Select Jomo Kenyatta University and ignore the awarding body. The awarding body only applies if the document you're using to certify is from a professional body, for example, either CIPS or KISEB and such like. Once you've done that, you click on Done and proceed to pay. You pay through the same method. Once you've clicked on Pay, you select eCitizen as your payment option, make payment, and then it will redirect you, and from your screen, it will show as processing. Processing means that we are in receipt of your application, and once we are done with the processing, the status will change to approved. And an exemption letter, which you should be able to go through so that if there's anything you need to follow up, you do it immediately. Okay, that is for exemptions. The next step is exams. You are done with the exemptions, for example, and you want to book your exams. You come to the exams menu and click on the arrow pointing downwards and select exam bookings. Under the exams menu, we have various subtitles. We have bookings, we have deferrals, we have withdrawals, historical results. These are for historical results. These means results from your previous sittings. And for exam results, these are your immediate results from the immediate past exams that you've done. And then your personal timetable and also your notes. Upon approval of your registration, you will get to access your notes under My Notes. I will come back to the rest of the subtopics, but for now, let's go back to bookings. You click on bookings, click on book units, and select. Here is where you select the exam center where you're comfortable sitting your exams from. So let's, for example, Juba. Once you've selected that, you move to the next page. All the units you're supposed to sit for will display here. For you to select the unit you want, or rather the units that you want to sit for, we have all boxes over here. This is where you click. And if the booking is successful, it will say success. For now, it's saying booking period is closed because we just closed our booking. But once you've selected here, you will see success in green. Select all the units you want to sit for, click on finish, then proceed to pay the same way I showed you using the eCitizen. Once you're done with that, you've booked your units and paid, you close here and come back to my timetable. On my timetable, this is your authority to sit your examinations. All the units you've booked and paid for will display here. Once you go to your exam center, this is what you print together with your national ID. These are what you'll present at the exam center. After marking, you will access your results and exam results, and then your previous results and historical. Let's say, for example, you've booked your exams and maybe due to work engagements or you fall sick or you get an emergency, you are allowed to defer your exams to the subsequent sitting. You can do that under deferrals over here. You write a letter, attach your evidence, and post. Let me proceed down to my profile. Once we've approved your registration, you will get your admission letter over here. Now, after you've finished, okay, CPSP-K has, and the 19th unit is the IBL, industry-based learning. You will get it here. We have the IBL approval form, which you're supposed to fill in and share with us on email for approval. After which, this is your logbook. This is the document you're required to fill in for the period of 12 weeks, after which you will submit it for marking. Now, I showed you where to access the notes. For past papers, you will access them on the dashboard of your portal. There's an icon for download past papers. Our past papers are normally zipped, so you need some apps that will help you to unzip the files. We encourage our students to use WinRAR. WinRAR is WINRAR. Next, down here, we have our links. If you're unable to pay through eCitizen, we have a link to show you how you can navigate that. We also have the link on tips on how to write your examinations. And this is another guide. We also have our general examination timetable over here. I showed you where you get your individual timetable, but this is the general timetable. We also have a list of our accredited institutions for students who are interested in training from other institutions, and these are other public reference materials. We have an annual renewal fee up to the point when you complete the course. All our payments, as you've noticed, are done online. And for renewals, you'll do it under renewals. Same way, for example, this one has been inactive for a period of 2 years. You click on these dots and then select pay, follow the steps, and pay using eCitizen. On extreme circumstances, for example, you might find the eCitizen is not working. You can reach out to us. We'll be able to guide you on how you can make the payment. For students who may be wondering if we accept checks, yes, we do accept checks, but that one is considered a manual payment. Once you've posted your check with us, we will guide you on how to proceed with that. I think that is, unless there's anyone with, I will invite my colleague.
Hello. Thank you, Sharon, for that wonderful presentation on our processes in terms of the student portal. At this juncture, I'm going to invite Mr. Cyprian to invite our today's speaker in terms of handling our exams. Mr. Cyprian, please.
Thank you so much, Sebastian and Sharon, for that wonderful presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Cyprian Ayo, and I work for KISEB in the examinations department. So it is my pleasure to introduce to you our next facilitator for today's session, who is Mr. Elisha Ogalo. So Mr. Elisha Ogalo is a highly experienced resource person who has worked with us over the years. Of course, he has also vast experience in the practice of supply chain. So in today's presentation that focuses on preparing for examinations, this is a topic that is both timely and valuable as you prepare for your upcoming examinations. So Mr. Ogalo will share his practical experience in terms of strategies on how effective one can prepare for these exams, maybe common mistakes that you need to avoid, and maybe the approaches to answering questions successfully. So I encourage all of you to actively participate. You can take notes and even post your questions in the Q&A. Of course, we will respond to all of them, including the presentation that has been made by Sharon. And then at the end of it, we expect an interactive session. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Elisha Ogalo to take us through the next session. So karibu sana, Mr. Ogalo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Iro, for that introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. For purposes of this presentation,
Mr. Ogalo, maybe you can check your audio. It's a bit low.
how is it now?
It's still low.
Still low.
Yeah.
And now? Is it fine now?
Or if I'm the only one who...
Hello?
I can hear you, yes, but it is a bit low.
It is low.
Yeah, it's still very low.
So let me try to adjust it.
Please do.
Can I be heard now? Is it okay now?
Almost there.
And now?
Yeah, perfect. I think we can proceed then.
It's okay.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Am I audible enough now?
Yes, you are.
Am I audible enough? Please confirm.
Please proceed. We can hear you now. It's better.
Is it okay? Okay, fine. We can proceed. So my name is Elisha Ogalo. I would like to welcome you all in this session. Actually, the objective of this is to first of all, encourage the candidates and also to make you master the examination syllabus. I know you are preparing for the forthcoming examination. I believe that at the end of this, you will be able to effectively strategize for the coming examination and also to basically understand what you need to do. Exam is a stressful situation. So we intend to make it easier for you. At least you get to know easy wins when you are approaching a professional examination. So I think we can start off from there. I would expect you also to raise questions so that we make this as interactive as possible. So I believe you're able to see my screen, but I'll be able to explain as we proceed. This is highly summarized. Now, there is something I would like you to understand. And this is the design of a professional examination. And for you to understand this, I would like you also to understand your predisposition. Now, the design of a professional examination is very different from the usual academic examination. Professional examination is meant to test practical skills and competencies. So, for example, there is a very big difference in being asked to explain how something is done and being told to do it. Now, professional examination is designed to ask you to do it, not to explain how it is done. That is the simplest explanation I can give in terms of making you understand. This puts you at the center of the operation and not just the mastery of the syllabus. So as we proceed, this will become clear. Now, this examination is guided by the syllabus. The syllabus is prescribed by KISEB already. So get your syllabuses, and there are a few things I would like you to understand. When you get your syllabus, the relevant syllabus for the qualification you are studying for, you will see that for every learning area, there is a section after the introduction of that broader learning area where there are expected learning outcomes. And there, the competencies expected from you are outlined there below. For instance, let's say under the broader learning area of procurement for goods, services, and works, that is, if you are doing CPSP, one of the learning outcome you may find there is you should be able to develop specification for goods. Another may be a candidate should be able to develop a procurement plan or be able to process the bids. Now, those competencies, what the syllabus instructs you to be able to do, that is what a professional examination tests. Those competencies, the way they are outlined there, that is what the professional examination tests. Let me give you an example in understanding the design of a professional examination. So for you to understand that design, you must understand your syllabus, because the approach here will be testing whether you are able to do. That is why the outcomes outlined is specific on what a candidate should be able to do. Now, text, for example, if a learning outcome says that at the end of this, a candidate should be able to accept, store, and issue inventory. If that is what the learning outcome expect of you, then the question can be developed this way, because we want now to test your practical skills. The question may come in this format. Now, instead of the question asking you, this is related to inventory, list or explain 3 inventory methods or inventory management methods. That is, you will never, or probably you can hardly find such questions in a professional exam. The exam may instead ask you this question, that because the learning outcome expects you to know how to accept, store, and issue inventory, it may ask you this, that, and this is under application, that it may give you a stem like this, that list or outline 5 documents that you may use to verify goods delivered by a supplier. You see, now you are at the center, not generic textbook question like inventory management method. We want you to tell us now, when the goods are delivered, what are some of the documents you can use to verify? Because the outcome is you should be able to accept, store, and issue. Now you are accepting the stores. What are some of the documents you can use to verify that these goods are the goods ordered from a supplier? So I hope you are getting the approach here. It is not the generic textbook method, but remember, if you put yourself at the center of the operation, you can answer this question. If you are a student, a candidate who is in current practice, you can answer that question. So that is the design of a professional examination. It links the syllabus learning outcome and the competencies and the practical skills that the profession and even the industry want you to have or to be competent in. So your competencies comes out in the execution of the work in the relevant area. So I hope you are understanding the design of a professional examination question. Now, there is another thing I would like the candidates to understand is understanding your predisposition. In the earlier presentation, I've had the presenter talks about category of students. So your predisposition are a natural inclination or your personal circumstances. Your personal circumstances may predispose you to a certain mindset. This may either make you prepare well or fail to prepare well. It may make you excel in exam or fail to excel in examination. So what do I mean here? If you are a student or a candidate who has studied supply chain, it means you have the theoretical foundation of what normally happens in supply chain. You also have the basic principles of how supply chain operates. Let's say you did that at bachelor's level, and currently you are not in active practice. You may look at the syllabus and assume that you know or you have an understanding of most of the things in the syllabus. So you may not prepare well. But remember, if you now understand the design of that professional examination, you now get the difference. So you know you need to rely on the syllabus and again get back to your study text and refresh your memory thoroughly, because that predisposition may make you feel that you have a better understanding, and then it may give you a false courage, while in fact the design of the question will be very different from what you are used to. Another thing is that if you are in active practice, you may have confidence, and the design of the professional examination may favor you. But remember, in actual practice, the area may be very narrow. So you have again to go back to the syllabus and look at the scope, because you may be doing what is relevant, but the scope covered by the syllabus is wider than what is in actual practice. So you also need to blend that. So that is all about predisposition and understanding the professional examination design. Now, any question before we proceed? If there is no question, we can then proceed. Okay, I have talked about know your syllabus. So look at the learning area.
Hi, I have a question. Can I proceed to answer to ask, please? Let me know.
There are other topics which may be given weighting in terms of time or even in terms of percentage. So when you are preparing your timetable, your study timetable, allocate more time for such learning area. Again, when you are making your timetable, or you are now designing your strategy, ensure that the revision you are carrying out is evidence-based. So why am I talking about evidence-based revision schedule? First of all, take a relevant past paper. Now, or even any past paper in the relevant study area, and test yourself. Test yourself. Don't panic about it. Just try to do that past paper. That past paper will actually point to you how well or how ill you are prepared for the examination. Now, that paper will be able to give you the baseline. It should be able to give you the baseline so that you adjust how you prepare or how you manage your time appropriately. And then don't give up. I believe now you have about a month or less than a month. Don't give up. If you realize that you have not been preparing well based on your test on the past paper, then manage your time very strictly. I know there are a lot of challenges. People may dedicate a lot of their time to social media, more than even in the revision, for example. But if you test yourself, it will give you a baseline to actually understand where you are at the moment. We are still just talking about a reliable path from the syllabus to the examination hall. We will do the examination tips at the end of this. But I want you to get that path clearly from the syllabus to the exam hall. When we reach the exam hall, we will advise what you need to do there. But let us trace our path from the syllabus first and how we prepare, because this is what will build our confidence. It is what will build our confidence and our courage as we approach the exams. So let us move to the next. Now, here, still under mastering the syllabus, you need to treat the syllabus as a contract, not just as a suggestion. So do not read any irrelevant study material or irrelevant topic. Stick to the syllabus. The examination design for professional exam will not test anything outside the syllabus. It will strictly follow the syllabus and actually test your skills, knowledge, competencies exactly as outlined in the syllabus. So don't waste time trying to read reference materials which may not be relevant. Stick to the syllabus. Any other thing that will not be tested directly from the syllabus will be related. It means it needs your personal intuitiveness or your own creativity in solving the problem, but you realize that that problem you are solving is still anchored on the learning outcomes expected of you in the syllabus. So get a very, very clear link between the exact skill, knowledge, and competencies that will be assessed. They are the same one outlined in the syllabus. So don't waste your time reading too much outside what is prescribed by the syllabus. Now, topic weighting. I've talked about the topic weighting, but let me give an example, a practical example. I want you to understand weighting in such a way that, or in a simpler format. There are certain learning areas. Let's say you are doing a project management in procurement. That is for those of you doing CPSP. And you realize that the learning area in itself, the project management, the entire project from inception to closure is normally a cycle. It's just a cycle. So you realize that there are tools that you will need to sequence the project, and you basically managing this cycle. So you will realize that the way the topic is weighted is such that these project management tools or the sequencing paths become such a weighty topic in the entire learning area that if you cannot understand this cycle and the tools of managing this cycle or the tools of planning a project, it is like you cannot master the learning area, or you cannot gain any sort of competency in that project management. So that becomes very important. So that is why you will realize that in a learning area, you will have related topic or a topic that covers almost 50% of the entire study area. So that is the weighting. And you need to factor in this in your planning, or even when you are doing your timetable and when you are managing your time as you approach exams. And then the assessment format. Remember, in this qualification, there are different paper formats. And there is a good reason for it. Because the design of a professional examination may necessarily need a case study. So while in some qualification, like lower level, you may have papers with no case studies. At higher level, CPSP, you will have papers with case study. So the paper format, paper structure should not surprise you on the day of the examination. Familiarize yourself with the paper format, the assessment format, so that you prepare well. It means when you are preparing, study the case studies, try to relate your knowledge or your practical skills to the case study. Obviously, these case studies are not English comprehension. They are meant to bring out real life scenarios or real work environment scenarios. And here, what you are needed to do is to offer solution that is drawn from the problem that has been presented for you by way of case study. So, and I would advise, when you are looking at the case study or you are preparing as a build-up to these exams, read the question first before you even read the case studies. Ensure that you understand the question. By doing that, as you read the case study, your brain is already primed to look for solution because you have already exposed yourself to a problem. Now, as you go through the case study, your brain works like it is primed. It is like it is on network search mode. It is already looking for solution. That is one strategy you may use. So the paper structure is very important, and even the design of the question. It should not surprise you on the day of examination. Familiarize yourself with the paper structure of the qualification you are going to sit. Then the command word. The command words, these are the instructional verb, like explain, outline, discuss. We are going to see that later. So let me not belabor the point at this stage. Now, up to there, any question? Are we okay up to that point? Are we okay? Okay, fine. We can proceed. We have looked at this, but let us just review this. List every topic and rank it by marks. That is in weight. We have looked at that. Past papers, we have looked at that. And then build the checklist. This is what I want us to look at. Now, as you prepare, look at the outcomes. Because I told you I'll walk you from the syllabus to the examination hall. Now, as you prepare for exam, look at the syllabus and ask yourself, are you able to do what is prescribed in the learning outcome? If the learning outcomes, one of the learning outcome is being able to develop specification, let's say for goods, can you ask yourself, can I be able to develop a specification in an actual work environment? When I am in the work environment and I am told, develop a specification, let's say for a simple thing, we know the development of specification at times becomes you develop it with the expert. But remember, the syllabus requires you to be able to develop specification. It is not always the case that expert will be available to develop specification. There are items for which specification will be developed by the procurement professional. For instance, when you are buying some services, like cleaning services, who is this professional in cleaning services that will develop a specification for you in your organization, in the normal setup? You will not go to an engineer, you will not go to an IT expert, you will not go to an HR expert or any other user department for them to develop a specification for you to source or to outsource cleaning services. So ask yourself, am I able to do this? And that is the prescription of the learning outcome. So in that learning outcome, ask yourself, am I able to do this, or am I competent enough to be able to execute what is expected in this learning outcome? So that is the checklist I want you to build. Now, if it is procurement, can you be able to select the appropriate procurement method? Because one of the learning outcome randomly under procurement for good could be being able to select appropriate procurement method. Ask yourself, can you be able, have you understood the syllabus well to be able to know the criteria you can use to select the appropriate procurement method based on the circumstances or even a scenario presented before you by the case study? That is the checklist you need to look at, because that is the approach the exam will take. The examination, professional examination, will not take a generic textbook approach of asking you list 5 procurement methods. No, it will present a scenario. And from that scenario, the examination will ask you, based on the circumstances presented by the case, to be able to select the appropriate, or at times even to justify the choice of a particular method. So develop that checklist and ask yourself, am I able to do this? If you can, or if you are confident enough, you can attempt, then well and good. I guarantee you, then you will be able to tackle exams well. Again, what we talked about, like the baseline, you are supposed to establish that baseline where you are at the moment using the past paper. Remember, you can also be able to flag your weak areas early based on your personal circumstances, your predisposition. We talked about how predisposition can either help you to prepare well or give you a false courage or even a false confidence. But then, based on your personal circumstances, you may even be able to get to know what distracts you. You may be able to know your distractors. And therefore, once you know what distracts you, then you will be able to flag it early enough. You will be able then to flag it early enough. So let's proceed. Now, how do you deal with the gaps? Once you have realized that I am weak in this particular area, you can allocate more time in your revision, or it can be a predisposition that you need to work on. Maybe be strict on your time, on how you manage your time. If you know probably that you are spending a lot of your time maybe on social media and that is your area of weakness, then manage your time strictly, and that can help you probably to bridge such gaps. So let us look at building your exam preparation plan. A 5-step process from diagnosis to exam ready. Diagnostic self-assessment. You know how you can do this. We have said for this exam, test yourself with a past paper. Random, just take the relevant past paper, test yourself. It will give you a baseline on actually where you are at the moment. And I want to encourage you not to give up. If you realize that you cannot even attempt that past paper, then you need to pick the syllabus, look at what we have discussed, the learning outcome, and study text. That will build your courage. And then you can test yourself maybe after a week or two. We have talked about prioritizing areas or topics by weight. And then weekly studies. This is basically about how you can manage your time. Timed practice and past paper. Timed practice means you time yourself when you are testing yourself. So you cannot do a past paper from morning to evening. That is not how exam work. So if you are to test yourself, time yourself based on the hours allocated. They are normally indicated at the top of the past papers. Then you review and adjust. It means keep doing this until then you are confident enough that you can tackle the exams. So there are other things you can do. Like for lower levels, you can practice what is called active recall. Test yourself from memory instead of reading notes. But you see, these normally just work well for lower levels where the knowledge is tested. But for CPSP, read to understand. Don't read to recall. And if you are to recall, remember, you may be recalling a concept to aid you in the explanation, or you recall a concept to aid you in the analysis, because recalling already creates cognitive formatting in you. So you need now to translate that to application. That is what can help you in a professional examination. And then revisiting topics, what we call space repetition. It means you can revisit areas where you flagged yourself or you've realized you are weak in such areas. So you can keep repeating the topics or the learning areas. And then timed practice blocks. You are trying to simulate real exam conditions. You can do that by just simply timing yourself. And then you don't refer to any material. You be honest when you are timing yourself. It will flag out your areas of weaknesses, and it will help you and prime your brain towards looking for solution when you go back to the reading text. Now, this is now one of the major areas that we need to be looking at today. Instructional verbs and appropriate responses. Now, if you look at your past papers, you will find that the examiners are instructing you to do a very specific thing. Like propose 5 competencies that a procurement manager should have. Now, the word there is propose. That is an example I am giving. You are asked to propose. That means this is your original thought. Remember, these competencies, there may be competencies, but they are irrelevant to a procurement manager, but they are still competencies within supply chain in general. So when you are proposing, this is your original thought now. It is you to propose based on your, if you are in practice, based on what you see, or based on the skills that you have as a manager. Now, the word here, propose, is what is called instruction verbs, or the command verb, or the command word. Now, when you are told to propose, the answer must mirror that instruction. The answer must mirror that instruction. So you don't end up listing the competencies of, let's say, a stores manager. And these are some of the issues that makes student fail in exam. Unless you master the instruction verbs, you are likely not to do well. So let's say you are told to list. When you are told to list, these are just brief, unexplained set of points. You are just listing. And when you are listing, you may rely on your knowledge. It is recall. So just list. And remember, when you are told to list, the marks allocated for that question will reflect exactly that. So don't spend 30 minutes in a question that will earn you 5 marks because you have simply been told to list. Now, the common mistake candidates make that you may have been asked to list, but since this is the area where you feel you are very knowledgeable, you may take a lot of time listing and explaining, just because probably that area favors your knowledge. Remember, you will not score more than the marks allocated. The examiners will still be looking for, will be marking as per the instruction. So don't fall into that trap. Now, if the question then asks you to explain, maybe let's say, and explain 5 circumstances under which you may be allowed to single source, or 5 circumstances under which you may be allowed to use direct procurement. Now, remember that you will do this in paragraph. But remember the instruction here, explain 5 circumstances. 5 circumstances. Now, don't end up writing one block paragraph, maybe a 1 page. You have explained just one circumstance, but you have explained it so thoroughly, covering maybe even 2 pages. It will be marked as 1. So separate these circumstances and explain each. Separate them clearly and explain each of them. So take note of that. And then understand the word. Now, when we talk about words like evaluate, it needs your judgment. So in most cases, you will find these instruction verbs in question, in case study scenarios. Now, when you are asked to evaluate, the problem has been presented to you. We need your judgment. And that judgment must be justified. It must be well reasoned. It must be well reasoned. So it is your judgment. It is you at the center of operation, and you need to take a particular approach, convince the examiner that this approach is justified with the following evidence. It is justified given the scenario. And this will never stress you, because it will not be based on any cramming. It will be based on the competencies and the practical skills that the syllabus requires you to apply in that situation. So it is your own execution towards solving a problem already presented before you by way of case study. So before we go to the tips, let us look at some of the verbs also. There's other instructional verbs like define, identify, describe. When you are describing, you give a detailed explanation. But remember, in the professional examination format, if you are told to describe, if there are different scenarios, you will be told describe even 2 scenarios or explain 2 scenarios. So take note of the verb. The response must mirror the verb. The response must mirror the verb, and where clear instruction is given regarding the number of points needed make sure you stick to that. If you don't stick to it, already you're expecting lower marks than the marks allocated in that area. There are other instruction verbs, but what I want us to talk about here, where students score poorly, is where there is discuss and at times analyze. Now, why would a student score poorly and yet the student had the points? You had all the solutions needed, but you still did not earn higher marks. When you are told to discuss, it means the issue at hand must be examined from multiple angles. It will be examined from multiple angles. You are going to look at 360 degrees of the subject matter. 360 degrees of the subject matter, and even at the end of it, you may need to give a recommendation. Because when you look at 360 degrees of a matter, you may have looked at what it is about, the advantages, its application, and even the disadvantages. And in the circumstances, what would be the best approach? So when you are told to discuss, your approach is that take multiple angles of the subject matter or of the concept. That is one of the challenges that candidates have, especially with the word discuss. And then when you are told to analyze, it means you need to break down the concept or the matter at hand. You are analyzing that matter in relation to the question at hand. It means the explanation you are giving should tell us that this is an analysis. It is not just an explanation. Analysis is very different from just a general explanation. It means you are even comparing. How does this relate to this? How does this cause this? Or how does this particular matter affect maybe a process? So that is an analysis. These two are a challenge to candidates. So analysis is not just a general explanation. It's the examiner would want to see how you break down and how you relate maybe a particular concept or how that concept is applied and how it affects maybe the operation. That is an analysis. So analysis is not just a general explanation. Evaluation, we talked about it, and then justify. This is another word that may challenge candidates. But when you are giving a justification, it means there is an approach you've taken, and now you are justifying. You are giving reason or argument for it. So you are giving argument for it. But remember, in all these verbs, you will use subconsciously, you will use explanation. But in your explanation, is it a justification? Because when you read the answers, normally, subconsciously, the candidates explain. The issue is it a mirror of the instruction verb? In that explanation, is it just a general explanation or is it a justification? So that is one thing you need to watch out. Now, we just want to look at some of the things, some of the easy wins that you may have. Once you are prepared, now this is the day of examination, you are getting into the examination hall. What are some of the things you need to do? Or on that D-Day, how should you have prepared yourself? And how should you now basically just conduct yourself? What approach would you take to ease the pressure on yourself as a candidate? You know, at times, a candidate fails not because they were not knowledgeable. Some candidates just fail out of panic. You may fail out of panic. And there may be a build-up to this, making you to fail. Or I can see someone needs further explanation on waiting. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that. So, on the day of the examination, remember I told you we need to walk you from the syllabus to preparation to the examination hall. First, ensure that you go to your center early. Ensure that you reach that center early. That is one. That's the first thing you need to do, so that you don't panic that you are held up somewhere. The brain works in a very unique way, and you see, it is your brain, you cannot cheat it. If you are getting late, you will find yourself under a lot of stress. So reach the center early. It will help you to be calm. Reach that center early. Familiarize yourself with what is there. Get to know where there are washrooms and all that, so that you are calm as you approach the paper. Now, secondly, once you are now in the examination hall and you've been given your paper, you don't have to start with question 1 if you don't understand it. Scan through the paper. Start with the question that you understand best. In the examination booklet, you only need to label that question. If it is question 4, just label question 4A. Start with that question that you understand best. Once you've answered the first question well, your confidence is already up. Your confidence will be beefed up by yourself. You have selected. Remember, this is just from selecting the question, you can answer well. Once you've done that, it will calm down your nerves completely and will build your confidence. Select the next best question, the question you are able to answer well again. Label, answer the question. By the time you are through with the third question, you will be better placed in that examination. Don't struggle, waste time, panic with the first question or the second if you can't understand it. So scan through the paper. Start with the question you can best tackle. You build your confidence, you build your courage, it frees up your mind, you think clearly, and you do well in an exam. So not all failures is because you did not prepare well. The exam pressure may push you into failing or even not reaching the center well, early enough, can create pressure out of nothing. And you end up panicking and you end up failing an exam. So you need to look at that. So let me answer the question about weighting. What I mean in weighting, you may find that there is a topic in your syllabus. When you look at the way the topics are designed, you can find that it has been given more hours, or that topic has a lot of subsection. It means the syllabus design is such that they want you to really, really understand that topic. They really want, it is significant. It is very important. Remember, design of KISEB syllabus is informed not by KISEB. It is informed by the industry and the sector, or even the players themselves. So you realize that the way this syllabus is assembled, it is assembled in response to the needs of the market, including the sectors. That means it is public sector or government sector. Another thing that I have looked at is that there are certain cases where what is currently in practice, those asking the pass mark is 50%. I believe that is the pass mark, but if you need more clarification, you can get in touch with the examination. But the pass mark is normally 50%. That is normally the pass mark. Okay, for those asking how someone may know how they performed in the previous exam, I believe you get the results. And they also, normally there are examination reports that you can liaise with the exams office to be giving you reports. There is a report that normally documents the pitfalls and areas of challenges to candidates. So you can liaise with the exam office. They will be sending you this report, or they will give you a link on how you can access them. I believe they normally produce those reports. So don't worry about such reports. They are normally there. So I have seen situations where what is in practice, the industry want to run away from it. Let's say like in area of sustainability, you may be doing well as a procurement department, but the industry may be feeling that you do not, or you've not been giving weight to sustainability. So you realize that even before you reach the main learning area for sustainability, you may find that there are topics where that sustainability is still embedded within the syllabus. So you will see by the total hours allocated, that is the weighting. And this weighting should be automatic. The moment you've understood well, maybe a particular learning area, once your understanding is standard, you feel that you are competent. I gave you an approach. Go to the outcome, ask yourself, can I do this? Because the outcome is designed that the candidate should be able to do this and that. Now ask yourself, from the candidate perspective. Am I able to do this and that? So once you can answer that question and you are comfortable that you can execute the responsibility or the outcome that the syllabus needs from you, then you are good. You are good. So it means you have allocated enough time to that area. So that is all about waiting. So this waiting should guide how you manage your timetable and the areas you should be looking at. I believe, I don't know how you learn, but it could be good if you have challenges and you because in the groups you may have others with experience, others in active practice, and even others who are just joining from high school. So there is a way in which you can borrow from the experiences of others. So you can do that in a structured way using even past papers in your discussion. It will help build your confidence. So let us look at the takeaway before we open this for maybe someone who wants an interactive answer. Know the syllabus inside out. We say it, don't waste time studying irrelevant material. And then build a structure evidence-based preparation plan. Start early. Even now, if you start now, it is still early. If you are taking the right approach and you are managing your time strictly, it is still early. So don't be discouraged. Dedicate your time, manage your time strictly, and you will do well. Remember, I've given you the approach. Get to the exam, start with the question you can do best, build your confidence, then think on your feet. Because what we are interested in is your practical skill, your practical competencies. It is not much about what you can recall. When you have a problem, take a practical solution to it. Apply your mind. Just ask yourself, how can I resolve it? So even the answer you think is irrelevant, you know, most candidates feel the answer is irrelevant because it has no bearing to the syllabus, direct bearing to the syllabus. They want to actually lift the knowledge from the book, use it, rely on it to give an explanation. Give what is practical, a practical approach that can be used to solve a problem. So in certain cases, just think on your feet. Okay. Always match your answers to instructional verb. We've talked about that. So I think you've learned something from this presentation. So any question before I hand back to the examination office? Any question?
Yes.
Okay, then we good.
Yeah.
I wanted to request maybe from the takeaways, the last point, if you can expound on what do you mean by using active recall.
So I can hand it back to maybe one of the facilitators. Maybe, I don't know whether Mr. Hiro is still there.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Elisha. There is somebody who was trying to ask a question. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
We can give him a Yeah, please go ahead.
Maybe I was following, but this point on the
thank you
takeaways,
very much for attending this session. And you can still forward any other question to the examination office. We can provide written answers to all those questions. Or if time allows, we can have another forum. But that is all from me for now.
Thank you so much. Maybe Bastian to take over from there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ogalo, for that insightful and engaging presentation on the effective tips for tackling examinations. We really appreciate you for sharing your expertise and practical guidance with our students. And at this point, I think it's my pleasure to invite my colleague, Ms. Grace, to take us through the next session of question and answers as we wind up our today's session. Grace, kindly, you can moderate Q&A.
Thank you, Mr. Sebastian, and good afternoon, everyone. We are grateful that you joined us for this webinar on how to navigate the Students Portal and the writing tips for the examinations, that is CPSP-K and APS-K. A big thank you to our facilitator, Mr. Ogalo. That was wonderful. Asante sana. This juncture, I'll open the floor for questions. We've had some questions on the chat box that have been responded to. In case you would wish to ask a question verbally, then you can raise your hand and I'll give you an opportunity. I have one, Laban there. Please go ahead.
Hello, Laban. I've seen you are raising your hand up.
Hello, this is Mr. Laban.
Ask your question.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The session was so informative. So I have 3 concerns that I go.
Laban, I can't get you. Are you able to hear me?
Absolutely.
Hello?
Yeah, yes, I'm able to get you clearly.
Yes, go ahead.
Mr.
Unmute and ask.
Okay. So this is my concern to the KISEB team. Number 1, the last time I sat for examination was August 2024. I want to sit for part 3 because I'm a part 3 student, December this year. So my concern, will I pay the usual renewal fee of 1,500 or I will pay the reinstatement fee? Kindly clarify on that. The second concern is for the award, which is for the award which KISEB give to CPSP-K students. Do KISEB play a role in that? And what are the requirements, the threshold one must meet to be nominated for that?
Can you repeat your question? I lost you at the beginning. Just repeat it now.
My concern is it is more of administrative, which is I want to direct it to KISEB because it is administrative.
Oh, you are asking a question to KISEB, eh?
Yes, because it is administrative, not technical.
Okay,
fine. Yeah, we got it, Laban. Just proceed.
Okay. So my second concern was about the requirement one must meet in order to qualify for the award which is given by KISEB. The qualification, the threshold which one must attain. And the final one, this is my proposal to KISEB. Could you kindly mobilize funds externally from like-minded partners from KISEB, and then use that fund to subsidize the cost of CPSP-K? Because it is costly a bit, because for example, part 3, one must must have more than 40,000 in order to complete that part. That one in itself is a sustainability, or it is a sustainability. So kindly consider that proposal and then answer me those 3 concerns respectively. Thank you.
Thank you, Laban, for that question. We'll pick a question from Mr. Barak, then we can proceed to answer those 2 individuals. Mr. Barak, please proceed. Barak Aran, can you hear me?
Yeah, okay. The question that I've got is, there's a professional that is highly experienced. He's worked over close to 30 years across multiple industries. So this person is asking, how can he go about booking the exams? Yeah, is meant just to book the exams directly. Can an individual just book for exams? You know, he's a professional. I think he's an associate or a member already with the Kenya Institute of Supplies Management, but then he wants to book for exams. How does it go? Can he just pay the fees and show up for the exams? Let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barak. I will request Mr. Cyprian Ahiro to respond to Laban there regarding the award of students by KISEB and the issue of resource mobilization to subsidize the fees.
Thank you, Grace and Laban, for your question. Now, regarding the annual renewal fee, I had your 3 questions, so allow me to respond to them. The first one, you've mentioned the aspect of you doing the PAR exam. Is it in 2024? The policy we have is that
August 2024.
Yes. So what you're saying is that the policy we have, which is in operation, demands that you do annual renewal. So meaning that if you did your exams in 2024, it means you're supposed to do a renewal for 2025, at the same time a renewal for 2026. The renewal fee is just 1,500. That is as per the policy we have that we follow in terms of the operations here at KISEB. Number 2, your issue to do with the award of KISEB. Of course, we do play a big role. The requirements are very simple. We just look at, we compute your cumulative scores in terms of performance, so we've done since you began. This one excludes the ones that you've been exempted. So we are assuming that all the papers you did, you are not exempted at any of those papers. So once you have computed that and have come up with a figure, we look at the highest score. Then that is what we present for KISEB for purposes of awarding the best candidates in terms of how they have performed in the examinations. In terms of mobilization of refunds, we've noted that. However, you need to know that this costing of the CPSP-K examinations, usually before it is enforced, we take it to our members and stakeholders, including you, for purposes of validating the cost. So the cost that we are enforcing is the one that was presented to members and students, and that is what they agreed that each paper should cost. However, your concerns have been noted, and of course we will look at that issue in details, maybe further behind our seats. Then lastly, for Barak, what you're saying is that you can do your exam, because I remember what the presentation by Mr. Elisha has been just to take you through how the exam is done. But internally, in terms of the operations, the registration can be done at any particular time. For you to do, or for you to be eligible for these exams, first of all, you have to register as a student, which you can do it. And of course, there is a contact which has been shared. You can call or email for guidance in terms of how you make your registration. Then thereafter, you can book your exams directly without involving any person. And of course, you book depending on, first of all, your availability, your preparedness, and then you do your exams. I think with that, I take it back to Grace for further guidance.
Thank you, Mr. Hiro. We are still receiving more questions. I request the participants to raise their hands so that we respond to all the questions you have. Mary Mbithe, please go ahead.
Hello everyone. My question is, after I'm done with my CPSP-K course, is the renewal important?
Thank you, Mary, for that question. Renewal applies to a continuing student. So upon completion of the CPSP-K or APS-K program, then you no longer do the annual renewals each year. I'll pick two more questions. I hope, Mary, you are answered. Let's start with Amina Sirayon.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My question is, not even a question, a suggestion. I booked exams, exam center as Kemu, Nairobi, but now something came up. Like the whole of August, I'll be in Nanyuki working. Can I change it, please? So that I can do my exams in Nanyuki. Thank you.
Mr. Caleb Elikana. Thank you, Amina, for that question. Mr. Caleb Elikana, your hand is up. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the presentation. I got two concerns or questions for that matter. First is concerning help. Are we allowed to apply for help when doing CPSP-K? And the second one is about the credit transfer and exemption. Is it the same thing or is it a different thing? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caleb. Aska Mogaka, please proceed.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Mine is just a concern. From your page, I saw that KISEB CPSP is going to update. Like I saw like to level 7. Is it going to affect us or are we going to remain at level 4 from your page?
Thank you, Madam Aska. I will request my colleague Sharon to respond to Amina Sirayon, and then Mr. Hiro, you may respond to Caleb and Aska. Sharon?
Good afternoon once more to everyone. Now, what happens, it's a challenge to change the exam center after booking is closed. This is because you might find that the center you want to change to after booking is closed might not have the papers you booked. Okay, because every center is administered by the exams that are required at that particular center. That is our challenge. Otherwise, we have no problem changing the center, but that is the particular challenge. Thank you.
So thank you, Grace and Sharon, for that response. Just to add to what Sharon has just said, I mean, I would advise that you write an email to examinations@kiseb.or.ke for further guidance in terms of the change of the examination center. So if you can make it official, then we will respond to you accordingly. Then for ask, you mentioned something to do with the communication that's going out there. What we are basically doing is that we are in the process of reviewing our curriculum. The curriculum that's running currently is under review. So we are not saying that we are going to change the qualification. The qualification as per the Kenya National Qualification Framework still remains at level 7. So we are not changing it. What we'll do after we are done with the curriculum review, of course, we'll have to develop an implementation matrix whereby we'll transition those who are in this curriculum to the next one smoothly. So that one should not worry you in terms of the credits that you've accumulated over the period. And then there was a question on help. Of course, there is a discussion around that we are reviewing whether the help can support our programs. That one will be effected once the two programs, the first one, which is the TVET regulated program, has been accredited. Then we'll see how to bring in the aspect of help, because we are targeting down the TVET institutions. The aspect to do with credit transfers and exemptions, I think this one Grace had indicated it earlier, that at KISEB, as per the KNQF framework, we can allow a transfer of credits and even exemptions up to 49% of our qualification. So for further guidance, I think you can email us. We'll give you further on which papers are exemptable, which one can we give credit transfer, so that you are aligned. I think that's for me, and take it back to Grace.
Thank you, Mr. Hiro. Allow me to add something regarding the exemptions and credit transfers.
Yes.
For one to be eligible for credit transfer, then you must have graduated within the last 5 years. For exemptions, there is no capping in terms of the number of years. I'll pick more questions. Madam Dorcas, your hand is up. Please proceed. Dorcas, please proceed with your question. Okay. In the event you are unable to speak, then you can make use of the chat box. We are still allowing more questions, members. Mr. David Opio.
Hello.
Please proceed.
Yes, a quick one. With regards to exemptions, do you use both a degree and a master's degree, or just one degree is enough just to certain exemptions?
Thank you for that question, Mr. Opio. Dorcas, we heard you. Please proceed.
Kindly, hello everyone. Good afternoon. My question is kama nilikuwa nimefanya exam then unapata umeanguka, am I supposed to pay for the receipt? What if I will pay it again and sit for exam? Is there any probability to fail again? Ama hizi receipt exam unazifanyanga zinakuanga aje?
Thank you for that question, Madam Dorcas. I will respond to Mr. David Opio. One, when you're registering, we allow a certificate, a diploma, or a degree. So either a bachelor's or a master's is acceptable for registration for the CPSP-K program. On to Dorcas's question regarding the receipt. In case you sit for an exam and you not been successful, or rather you failed, then you're required to resit. And that means you book for it again via the students portal and pay the required fee. Now, regarding the probability of whether you will pass again or fail, it is dependent on the candidate's preparation for that exam, or rather how they will perform. And therefore, that's why we encourage our students to revise thoroughly, make use of the study materials that are available on the students portal, including the notes, the past papers, and the exam reports that we publish after every sitting. Additionally, what we've just had, the webinar on how to write the tips, the exam writing tips, it's also one way of how we guide students on how they can do the exams and pass. This will increase, of course, their chances of passing. I hope your questions are answered. Madam Nehema, please mute your mic. And in case you have a question, then raise your hand. Nehema, please mute your mic. Let me receive more questions from the floor. Do we have more questions? Okay, seems there are no hands up. And in that case, I'll take it back to Mr. Sebastian for further guidance. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Grace, for that moderation. Really appreciate it. And also to our candidates, we also appreciate you for your patience. At this juncture, kindly allow me to take you to our DD exams, and Mr. Cyprian to make his final remarks as we close our today's engagement session. So I take you direct to Mr. Cyprian, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sebastian, as well as Grace for that moderation. First of all, allow me to appreciate our moderator, our presenters, and of course, the distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, those who have gotten time to attend to this webinar. Of course, we are saying that some of the questions we've tried to respond to them, but if we are not satisfied or if the answers were not sufficient enough because for your observation, then you are free to get in touch with us. Of course, if you look at our chat box, we have our contacts in terms of the email and also the numbers. You can just call for the guidance. What you're saying is that as we come to the end of this webinar, we should sincerely thank each one of you for taking time to participate in this important engagement. Of course, your presence and active participation has demonstrated that commitment to the professional excellence and the growth that you yearn to pursue. As I had said earlier, my heartfelt appreciation goes to our presenters, Ms. Sharon, for that wonderful presentation. And then our senior presenter, Mr. Elisha, for those insightful and practical presentation that you've given to our listeners, our candidates. We thank you so much. You've not only guided our candidates in effectively navigating the KISEB portal, but also shared your invaluable examination writing strategies that I believe it will undoubtedly enhance their preparation for the upcoming examination. Also, allow me to thank Sebastian for coordinating this program. To our candidates, what I can encourage you is that the webinar you've attended today is just but one step in your exam preparation journey. Because you're saying that these examinations do not simply test what you know as it has been elaborated by our presenter, but it also reveals how well you're prepared in terms of the job and the practice outside there. So if you want to succeed in these examinations, you're saying that success in this professional examination is just a built up on your consistent study, your proper planning, your discipline, and of course, adhering to the examination regulations. Remember, we have examination regulations, which we are pleading to you to adhere to them so that at the end of it, you receive your results. If you breach our exam regulations, definitely it may affect your performance in a way. So I encourage you to make use of our learning resources. I think it has been mentioned earlier. We have our learning resources in our portal, including the past papers. We have our exam reports, which are there. And we have all other necessary materials that are there to help you prepare well for these examinations. So kindly visit them for purposes of preparing these exams. So as KISEB, we are committing to going beyond administering these examinations. We do not merely assess examination, but we nurture competency, we nurture global competitiveness of our profession. So we are dedicated to supporting your professional journey by providing quality assessments and supports that will make you meet the international standards and even the national standards. Of course, your success contributes to the growth of this profession that we really admire to build and grow. So I encourage you to remain focused, maintain integrity throughout your examinations, and approach the upcoming assessment with confidence given by the talk you received. And remember that every hour you invest in preparation brings you closer to becoming a competent and an ethical professional. So once again, thank you for participating. Thank you for your questions, both in the chat box and the verbal. And we thank you for your continued confidence in our profession. So on behalf of our CEO and on behalf of the KISEB, I wish you all the best in your forthcoming examinations, and we look forward to celebrating your success. Thank you, and have a pleasant afternoon. So with that, I think the webinar has come to an end. You are free to leave at your own free time.